day, I want your touch. In every way, I can't give it up. Anything, just to feel the rush. This just ain't enough. Oh, we make my ride or die. Oh, we can do this every night.
Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be fitting the MK8 Fiesta ST big brake kit from ST Performance, as well as the ST Performance springs, as well as a bunch of other things. As you can see, it sits relatively high now with some pretty tiny brakes. So we're going to be putting a 355mm big brake kit on it, and then just the lowering springs. The lowering springs we're not going to run for a long time, but while we're waiting on our coilovers being made for these, we're just going to stick them on and see how we get on with it. Now, for many of these, springs are pretty much what most of these will probably go for as far as lowering springs and you know, making the car sit a bit better is concerned. Coilovers are pretty harsh for most people for daily driving, whereas springs are a nice simple fit and forget solution. There is loads of options out there for these. Now, we're trying the ST Performance ones because they are extremely well priced. We can supply them, we can fit them, as you're about to see, and you know, for most people I think it's going to be a really good solution, but we want to try them on the road, make sure they're not too crashy, make sure that they're not, you know, too low, no issues with them, which I'm pretty confident there's absolutely none. Pretty much all of the ST Performance stuff is spot on. So when Si said that he had these springs, we just simply to try them and see how we got on with them. So this is all the stuff we're going to be fitting. The main part that we're going to be fitting is these, which is the ST Performance springs. You can see that they've got all the proper setup on them like the original Ford ones do, except these are for lowering purposes. We're also going to be putting in Miller's Motorsport Racing Fluid for the brakes, as well as braided lines, the ST Performance big brake kit accompanied by some lovely PBS pads, as well as a 280mm kit on the rear. So this is all the stuff we'll be fitting. This will give us a lot more braking force than what we had at the last track day. These should hopefully give us a wee bit better, you know, handling. We will be upgrading a full coilover, but for the time being we thought we'll chuck these on and see how they are. Well, I've just realised that we totally forgot that we're actually running about on the standard intake system and everything else on this. So this is literally the first kind of mods really going on it. So we're starting off with a big massive brake kit and springs and stuff like that. We've not even bothered doing the intake side of things, but maybe we will just chuck a few bits on it. So the first thing we're going to start on is the springs. So Alan's already making his way through it, getting the front and rears off. And then we'll chuck the ST ones on. After that, we'll probably move on to what, brakes or something next, Alan, after that? Yep. Because we're just having a wee look at how much of the pads we'd went through, which is not too bad considering, you know, there's not much to these. These aren't the highest spec pad that EBC do for these. So to do that well on the blue stuffs, I think that's all right. Considering there was a fair bit of hard braking. We're also going to upgrade the rears as well with the 280mm kit. And that should give us just better brakes all round. Don't want to just do the front without doing the rears. While Alan's doing that, I thought I'd better get my hands dirty and you know, do a bit of fitting myself. So put the toe strap on. There we are. There we are. That's me done my bit now. leave the pro to his work. If the car ever comes loose when I'm trying to put it on the trailer with this or anything like that, then we know whose fault it was. This is documentation, should this ever happen, that I can't shout at MD. Lovely. Beautiful, if I do say so myself. Beautiful. So that's the fronts off now. These are kind of the most dangerous ones to do as far as getting the springs off. So it's always recommended to let a garage actually do this job for you. This can go quite wrong and you can end up with a strut through your face, which is never a pleasant experience, is it, Alan? No, these can come shooting off. So you need like spring compressors and stuff like that to actually get them off safely. Otherwise these will come off and they can shoot a fair distance. So the first spring's off, so I'll go and get the other spring and we'll compare it in size. So you can see the kind of difference between the two now that they're off. There's a fair bit. This one's at least I don't have a measuring tape, and I'm not going to get one either. But you can see there's a difference. So that's the front versus the front. So standard SD Performance. Do you know, I can feel the horsepower radiating from it. So many more horsepowers. Oh, horsepower. So that's the first one now on. Just need to get the other one. Doing the back's always the easiest. Alan gets them done in no time. It's always the fronts that can be tricky, but that's because you need the likes of the spring compressors and all the other bits and bobs. Whereas when you're just dropping the axle, it's great. Just, there it goes. Springs out. Springs in. Once again, out with the old. In with the new. Nice and shiny. Shiny is good, aside from this very rusty back box. It's crazy how Ford have designed these springs, but whatever they've done, it works. Well, I seem to have took these down a fair bit. I would like to see a slightly better pad on the rear, but you know, that's the kind of options we've got and that's what we've went with. So Alan's just now installing the 280mm rear brake kit along with the lines, but all the suspension's now on, it's all done. And it's just moving on to the braking side now. So now that that's all done, we can move on and get the big brake kit on. So these will be nothing in comparison to what's about to go in the front. These are actually tiny. Well, if you look at them, they're about the same size as them, more or less. But wait till you see the size of these things on the front, it's absolutely ridiculous. So it is really important when installing these big brakes to make sure you put this bracket on before putting the disc on. A lot of people are going to try and put the bolts on the wrong sides, which is definitely not the way to do it. So now that we've got this all on, we can stick the actual big massive brake discs on it. Ridiculous. The other thing as well, people always get these run the wrong way. You need to make sure the vents are going the correct way as well. Don't want them scooping into the air. It's to take air out from the centres, so make sure that they are the correct way whenever you're installing big brakes. Definitely got all the SD goodies on now. The brakes are absolutely massive. Safe to say we'll definitely be able to stop. So now all that's really left to do is get the wheels back on it and sit it down, roll it back and see how much lower it's sitting. Safe to say, it took a fair bit out of them. Must have been using a lot of brakes in that track day. Well, know how I said we just had to put the wheels on? Well, I was wrong. You know, if I had just chucked the wheels on that, then I'd have probably had a bad time, so there'd been no brakes. But Alan has informed me that he's still got to bleed the brakes. So, aye, we're just doing that now. Alan's working away at it. Today I've been sitting updating our website, so I've been putting a bunch of new stuff on for a lot of different cars, believe it or not. So we'll need to go and check out and see exactly what we're offering now, because there's quite a lot of stuff on there. But just tightening up a few bits and checking over. Then we're going to get these brakes all bled up. And then we're going to have some fun. So it's safe to say that the springs have gave it a fair bit of drop. You know, it's definitely a massive difference over stock, because, you know, the guy who takes away our parcels and, you know, takes them to delivery depot and stuff like that, he even commented how this thing was sitting like a monster truck, but it's because there's virtually nothing in the back. With this now, you know, it's given us a fair bit of drop. We've got sitting nice, it looks a hell of a lot more sporty, especially with the big brake kit on it. That just looks absolutely wicked in there. Just sitting behind those wheels, absolutely perfect. See, we don't need to run spacers or anything because of the offset of the wheels. So now that all that stuff's out of the way, we're going to go on to installing a short shifter, because the throwing these is terrible. You feel like you're throwing the gear stick right into the back of you. So we're going to install the SD short shifter. We're also going to put a big, nice air intake on it and start giving us some nice sounds, because this thing's been sitting for, you know, so long as stock. We've also fitted a brand new clutch to this one because we had a lot of issues with clutch slip. So we've got the first development clutches and we've put them in both cars. And now, I might say it's a fair bit better. A couple of drawbacks naturally, but right now it's looking good. So Alan's just going to go ahead and start installing all the other parts. And then we'll have all the whooshy noises. Actually, I can't wait to put this on because it's no nice. It's no nice.
No nice to drive.
There's nothing nice about the standard shift. This should have came like this for factory. But it didn't.
Didn't it?
Good thing is they literally just bolt on and you don't really need to worry about it. You've got 2 settings, so it's trying to figure out exactly which one is which because I can never remember. I think while we're at this, we should probably stick the PowerFlex inserts in as well, eh? Well, we've just got it in bits.
Well, I've got it in bits, right?
Makes sense. Why not?
Halfway there.
Halfway there. One short shifter fitted. Nice one. So you can see the old intake's got a fair bit of bends to it, whereas our one that we're putting on is a fair bit straighter and not as squashed or restrictive. So it's also just a lot nicer looking, shiny. So it's safe to say this thing is a fair bit bigger than standard. We should see a bit of noise off this. We had to trim down a wee bolt in the back there, but other than that, seems pretty spot on. The only thing I wish I'd done is, in hindsight, I wish I'd have went black with that, but doesn't matter. It looks cool, and I bet you it sounds cool. Oh yes, yes, can feel it. Power is radiating. That's much better. Now it's a lot more race car. So because this is a track car, we went for the Black Series inserts, and these will simply slip in there and stiffen things up. Well, I say simply, it takes a bit of persuasion to actually get it in there, but you get the idea. So that's the mount now in, all located, fair bit stiffer. That should definitely help as a wee bit of track. And now we're on to the next ones, which are these ones. These are a fair bit trickier to install than this. This just takes a bit of force. These ones require a bit of drilling to get in and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead, get that mount whipped off. Well, once we've installed this one, get this one whipped off and then install these. So this one is slightly more complicated. You need to actually drill these bits out, but you don't want to drill more than you need to. These are quite particular on how they need done, so Alan's going to go ahead and drill them. He's already done one set, so we know how they're done. But it's like a 13mm drill bit or something, and then just into it, but don't go too crazy. And that should be you spot on. So now that we've got the mount apart, you can see the amount of drilling that needed done was virtually nothing. These are actually sided, these are front and rear, so you need to be careful with how you're putting them on to make sure they are correct. But other than that, they just kind of, again, slide in. These are a lot easier to put in once this is off in comparison to the other thing. The most difficult part about it is this. But all of these should make a drastic difference to how the car drives. We'll find out tonight on track. So that's officially all the mounts now on, all done, lovely jubbly. Now we just need to get the wheels swapped over and we're ready to go for the track day.
But I'm
So I think it's safe to say that that was a really successful track event for us. This car performed absolutely fantastic. I have zero complaints about it, and as you can see, it's also got a new look thanks to our friends at Sticklex. Now, this one, with just having springs, big brakes, a stage 1 map and an air intake, you know, it performs fantastic. It can keep up with some serious cars, which is exactly what we want to see. I would have liked to have felt the car being a little bit stiffer, but again, there's only so much that you can really do with just springs. But for what it's got, that is a fantastic setup for most people and is perfectly achievable. But also, one of the biggest differences for me was the new clutch. Just the feel of the pedal going round was a lot more reassuring. We had zero clutch slip whatsoever like we were experiencing on both cars. Much better. Although you've got a heavier pedal, it's a small price to pay for a much better clutch feel. The other car, on the other hand, it went round the fastest it's ever been round. We cannot complain about how this car is performing. It is absolutely spot on. The only issue we had was one of the boost pipes ended up with a tear in it. There's not really much we can do about that. That is just component failure. All we can do is fix it and get back out there. But all in all, an absolutely fantastic track event. All we need to do now with this one is get the coilovers on it, stiffen it up, get the camber dialed in, get the bonnet stripes and stuff like that all done, and then we're ready to hit the track again. So join us on the next video where we start installing the suspension and some other bits and bobs. But until then, make sure that you like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.